Hi everybody, it's Andrew Hutchings here. Still not a doctor, never giving medical advice, and if it seems like I am, I'm just consolidating medical information, putting it all in one place, along with my opinion. And I'm not encouraging you to listen to me. Don't listen to me. This video is about there's two things I could make it about, but it's still want to get the same message across. Okay, let's make this video about basic steroid cycle that you could do. What to take. Obviously, nothing is best, but if you are going to take stuff, it helps to know the logic and rationale behind taking stuff and what the options are. So I was talking to someone the other day, and it can be confusing if you don't know about any of this stuff. Like if you don't even know about the dosage of testosterone. So you want to have at least enough testosterone to keep your body healthy. Your body operates on testosterone, which turns into estrogens. Now, you can toss in other steroids, which are very similar to testosterone. They do most of what it does, and they turn into similar estrogen compounds, but not quite the same. And once again, they may do most of what estrogen does, well, the natural estrogens, but a little bit differently. And at the end of the day, it's always best to have what your body evolved with for a very, very long time. It's not used to dianabol and methyl-estrogens. It's used to testosterone and estradiol, normal estradiol. So, the foundation of a steroid cycle should logically always be testosterone if it is available. And if you don't have I don't know how you could have a weird reaction to it because it's naturally in your body. How much testosterone do you need? That depends on the person, but as little as 70 milligrams to as high as maybe 150. Depends on how your body metabolizes it, excretes it, and so on. And the reason I say as low as 70 and not as low as 50 is because testosterone esters have a higher weight than just normal testosterone in your body. 70 milligrams of testosterone N-enanthate, a very common medium duration ester, is similar to 50 milligrams or so of your natural testosterone without an ester. Also, you are spreading that testosterone out evenly, versus normally you have high levels at the beginning of the day and they dip down during the night, and they come back up when you're sleeping to start back off high for the next day. Now, it may be important to have those high levels at some points, and it's actually also important to have the low levels at some points, but when you take it as an injection, as an ester, you just get, well, it's not quite like this. It's like this over the course of many days, but for the most part, during any given day, it's relatively stable. It is going down a bit, but it's not nearly like you would naturally go down sharply during a day. 1 second. Now I don't have to talk quite as loud. So on top of needing to take more because it has the ester increasing its weight, so 70 is more like 50, you may also need to take more so that you can get the higher levels that you would normally have at the beginning of the day. Now you can't artificially give yourself the low levels you would have at the end of the day, but luckily, especially for a shorter duration of time, like a few months, it's probably not the worst thing in the world unless you are an older, very unhealthy person, perhaps also with kidney disease. Then it may become important for you. But if you're a young guy, probably don't need to worry about it, but I'm not your doctor, so don't listen to me. Okay, so now that we've got that covered, let's summarize it all. You need at least enough testosterone to meet your body's basic requirements, since your natural testosterone will be turning off. Hope that makes sense. Now that you have a replacement of your natural testosterone, you can add on other things on top of that. Now, you could just take more testosterone, but why take more testosterone if you can take other things that have less side effects when taken at higher dosages? So if you took more testosterone, testosterone, remember, it turns into estrogen. We need estrogen, but we don't need too much of it. In fact, you don't want too much of it. You want just the right amount. So if you take more testosterone, you get more estrogen. There's a good chance that that more will be too much. So instead, you could toss in something like primobolan or masteron. They are methanolone and drostanolone. They are like testosterone, kind of, but they don't turn into estrogens. So you could take that on top of your testosterone, but your estrogen stays the same. So you build more muscle, but you don't get extra estrogen. Now, why does it matter if you get extra estrogen? Well, you can get breast tissue. You can get high blood pressure. Water retention that causes a high blood pressure. For most people, for healthy young people, unless you took a rhinoceros or elephant amount, it's probably not going to matter that you retain some extra water, but who knows, it might for you, especially if you take stimulant drugs along with it, because I know fitness people like to take stimulants, which constrict your blood vessels, increasing your blood pressure. You increase the blood volume, how much is inside each blood vessel, and restrict how much space it has, and you're really jacking up your blood pressure. So best not to have that, even though it would probably be okay, but I'm not your doctor. The main thing is you don't want breast tissue, because that can become permanent and cost thousands and thousands of dollars to get surgically removed. How can you tell if you have too much estrogen? Blood test. Now, if you're not going to get a blood test, I don't see why you wouldn't, because if you can afford to take steroids, and you can afford your gym membership and everything, you can probably afford another $150 for a blood test. But I do understand how you wouldn't be able to afford it, because I mean, really, you should do one blood test before you take anything to know your baseline. Then you should take one during your cycle to know how things are working, if you have too much estrogen, too little estrogen, and then you should take one when you finish. So that does add up. So if you can't afford the blood test, you could go by water retention. But why would water retention not be the best measure of your estrogen? While it may tell you if your estrogen is high or not, it does not tell you if your estrogen is high enough to cause breast tissue. Only feeling your breasts, like your underneath your nipples, will tell you if you're developing that problem. You may notice it without feeling under here. But if you pinch underneath, like flex your chest muscle, and then you pinch the skin, you shouldn't feel anything, just skin. Just like if you were to pinch on your arm, just skin. But if you feel a bump under there, even a little tiny one, and it's starting to feel itchy or get puffy or anything unusual, that's the important sign that you have too much estrogen. Because that's when it really matters, is if you have so much that you get breast tissue. Now that we've covered that, back to what to take. So to go over things again, your testosterone to replace the stuff that gets turned off, then you add on something that does not turn into estrogen. You may also want to choose something that's not highly androgenic. Androgenic activity causes your hairline to recede, causes you to grow more body hair, including on your back. So if you value your hair and you value not being super hairy on your body, you may also want to choose something that's not very androgenic. The two compounds I mentioned, the primobolan and masteron, not only do they not turn into estrogen, but they're not highly androgenic. But you could choose something that's even less androgenic, like anavar, oxandrolone, or winstrol, which is stanozolol. Anavar would be the best, because it's the least androgenic. And I'm not a big proponent of SARMs. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of steroids either. I'm a big proponent of being healthy and natural and not taking any drugs. But SARMs have even less androgenic activity than Anavar. I don't know if that holds true for every SARM, but generally SARMs should be less androgenic. They also do not turn into estrogen, so SARMs could be a good thing to stack on top of your testosterone. However, I am of the belief that it's best to stick with things that have been around for almost 80 years now. Now, I know on paper you don't see steroids emerge until the late 1950s, early 1960s, but I have a video on this. I can't remember the title of it, but probably something like when were steroids first created or invented or whatever, or Nazi steroids, because in reality it is extremely unlikely that scientists in Nazi Germany did not develop the steroids that we have today, considering that they did develop synthetic testosterone and its esters. The most chemically inclined and advanced nation on earth probably didn't decide, hey, we made testosterone and its esters, let's just stop doing anything related to that. Yeah, that's not usually how it works. Usually you're like, whoa, we made this thing, it does this, let's make something slightly different. And there is the birth of our modern steroids. It's interesting that you cannot find when they were first created. You can only find when they are first mentioned in medical literature. So where they were first created is officially a secret. But now to get back on topic, yeah, steroids, they've been around a very long time. They've been used medically for much of that time. SARMs have not been. So in terms of safety, better to go with steroids. Better to deal with the enemy that you understand rather than the one you do not understand. Maybe the one you don't understand will turn out to be less of a threat, but you don't know. You just, not worth the risk. Better to go, even if the one is a bigger threat, at least you know what it does so you can counteract and you can understand how it's altering your body. And if you have side effects, you know what's going on, why they're happening, and so on. So yeah, basically, testosterone to replace the testosterone you lose, and then stacking on a non-aromatizable, lowly androgenic compound to build more muscle tissue. That's really as simple as it is. There are many choices. I think the best ones seem to be Anavar, which is oxandrolone, Primobolan, which is methanolone, Masteron, which is drostanolone. Not a big fan of Winstrol, which is stanozolol, because it has some unfavorable ways in which it affects the tendons. And while it may create a very aesthetic look because it causes you to lose water, it has diuretic activity, it also makes you more prone to injury. Not good. I don't think losing water weight is worth the extra injury risk. Plus, it's been shown that it causes negative alterations to the structure of the tendons. Now, they will remodel in time, given enough time, but why leave your tendons in a vulnerable state for any amount of time if you don't need to? I wouldn't. There are other things like nandrolone, very effective for packing on muscle mass. However, that does have the added progesteronic and prolactogenic activity, which I honestly do not know a ton about. I just have not been inclined to, there's not a whole lot to learn about it other than the fact that it has that activity and how to counteract it, which you would do with, what is that drug? It's an ergotamine. It's kind of like LSD, except it's not so psychedelic. It is cabergoline. Yes, that will block the prolactogenic activity because it's a dopamine agonist. Really all you need to know. Nandrolone has side effects that can be blocked with cabergoline. But why take something that you have to take another medication to block the side effects of if you could just take something else that has no side effects that you need to counteract? Take as few drugs as possible. Your body doesn't want drugs. So if you could get away with just testosterone, which you probably could, take just testosterone. Maybe go with 125 to 150 milligrams total per week. If you're going to go with testosterone enanthate, I think it's wise to dose that every 4 days to have steady blood levels. Some people drag it out to a week, to 10 days, to 2 weeks. I think that's irresponsible and not optimal. Not only will you have highs and lows of androgenic activity, but when your testosterone spikes up really high at the beginning, you're going to get more conversion into estrogen, more conversion into DHT, and so on. DHT has androgenic activity like in your hairline. Estrogen, remember, can cause breast tissue. So we want smaller spikes to make smaller turnover into undesirable metabolites. Keep the things steady and level. Yeah, it's very likely that if you took 125 to 150 milligrams of testosterone per week that you would have exceptional results. But if they were not satisfactory, you could try adding in the primobolan, the masteron, or the anavar. But don't do that. Don't take anything. Be healthy. Unless you need to take this for medical reasons, and only take it under the supervision of a doctor. In case you can't notice, I'm just trying to cover myself, although I do truly believe what I'm saying, except for the doctor part, because I don't like doctors. I think most of them are assholes and idiots. Yep, I said it. Even though I may work as a doctor someday, I'm not going to be one of them. I'm going to be a good doctor, a true doctor, not some, I have too many words for them, person that works as a doctor. So there you have it. Oh, and I guess, well, I mean, I have so many videos on post-cycle therapy, so yeah, after you do that basic kind of cycle for 2 to 4 months, you'll want to do a post-cycle therapy. What is that? It's to get your testicles back up and running, because remember, they turn off when you take this stuff. That's why you have to take the testosterone to replace the stuff that's no longer being produced. So when you come off, your testicles aren't working. Your body, whoa, what's going on? I don't have any testosterone, I don't have any estrogen. I have so many videos on this, so check out the other videos. But then you would bounce back to normal eventually, most likely. Some people never do. But the post-cycle therapy helps you to bounce back faster. And the faster you bounce back, the faster you can get back to working out like you normally would, faster you can get back to looking good, feeling good, being able to have sex, everything. So check out my post-cycle therapy videos, leave comments, please like and subscribe. Check out my Instagram, natural_true_fitness. Check out my other videos. You can hire me for training advice, supplement advice, diet advice, an explanation of supplement ingredients. You can buy my book on tendinitis very soon, so you can actually get rid of your tendinitis, but I can't recommend. I recommend that you do not follow my book. No, don't. Don't get rid of your tendinitis, because it's not a doctor telling you. Go listen to your doctor. Live with your tendinitis. Everybody loves tendinitis. Go live with it. But if you were stupid enough to buy my book, and stupid enough to listen to someone who's not a doctor, you might accidentally get rid of your tendinitis. How horrible would that be? I mean, it's so horrible. I would never want that. And, yeah, check out my website, andrewhutchings.org. As soon as the person I hired to make it actually finishes it, you can see it. I paid him a year ago for a different website. He never got that one done. Now he's working on this one. Still not getting it done. That's a certain kind of person for you. I won't use descriptive language about what kind of person he is, because I don't want to offend anybody, and he is my friend, kind of. I mean, I wouldn't really call him a real friend, just a guy I know and talk to.